Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Book Review and Summary. This week we are going to review a book titled Cobalt Red: How the Blood of Congo Powers Our Lives, written by Siddharth Kara. Before we delve into the summary of the book, please do subscribe to this channel if you have not done it already. This will help this content to reach to a lot more interested folks. Now let's get into the summary of the book. For starters, cobalt is a key element needed in the manufacture of rechargeable batteries in almost all the electronic items that we use today, starting from phones, tablets, batteries in cars, etc. This demand for cobalt is only slated to go up in the near future. And the astonishing thing about cobalt is that almost 90% of Earth's cobalt reserves is concentrated in Congo and the surrounding regions. Then the logical question should arise: why is Congo not the richest country in the world? At least that is what my son asked me when I told him about this amazing element. The book starts to explore the truth behind this question. But the problem is manifold. One of the biggest culprits in all this is the governments that have ruled Congo over years, who have always been driven by an individual who wanted to loot the money and not be bothered about the welfare of the nation. So the whole setup of mining is done in such a way that there are two kinds of people who mine cobalt. Number one, the mining companies who do it at scale, and number two are the local people called artisans who dig the earth and get this cobalt. And the interesting tidbit to note here is that cobalt as a ore is available at reasonable depths where you don't necessarily need mining equipment to get it. The local people then sell it to the depots who collect these ores and take it to a central node where the ores mined from the industrial mines also reach and get consolidated, and then they are taken upstream for further processing. The local people are paid a mere $1 per day for all the hard work. This involves dealing with landslides, pollution, chemical effluent release, and whatnot. But given the lack of necessary infra for education or other work, the people are forced to get into this to earn something at least. It is a clear case of a bonded labor forced by the society. The child labor situation is also very, very bad, with no respite or thought to education or the trauma the child has to go through if it has to work in these mines. Now let's pause a moment where you can go and write your comments about how bad the situation is in Congo, and we make use of all the amazing electronic goods which use the cobalt that is being mined from there. Quickly moving on to the summary. Some of the interviews that the author has with the local people are just tragic, where the children have been killed or have lost their limbs, etc., but continue to remain in this trade for the money that it generates. And the key point to note here is that cobalt is not the only mineral available in Congo. There is copper, rubber, diamond, and many more. And at least one of these resources have been mined at some point in Congo's history, and it has been plundered. Say, for example, copper was mined during World War, and rubber was cut after that, and now it is the time of cobalt to do the looting and plundering for Congo. There is also a huge history of colonialism which started this downfall, driven by the Belgian king Leopold II. He conquered the nation and started the mining of copper, and using almost the same setup that is there today. At some point during Congo's history, democracy was also tried, but to no avail, because there were power hungry people who wanted to make use of the abundant resources in Congo. There was also a role of UN and US at one point where they overthrew a people elected leader because he was trying to seek some support from Russians to overthrow the Belgian domination. So the whole world has in some form or shape abused Congo for its resources. And it continues even today, with China being the neo-colonialist. China entered into Congo by cracking a deal to fund the infrastructure in Congo and in return use its natural resources in cobalt. And it almost has a monopoly in exporting cobalt out of Congo into China for further processing and supplying industry ready cobalt. And because of this kind of a monopoly and free access to funds from Chinese governments, the Chinese companies have tried to make the best use of the Congolese people and exploit them to the core. Amidst all this, almost all multinational companies that procure cobalt have strict supply chain norms to ensure that the goods are not procured from places like Congo. But then, given the domination of the supply from Congo, how is it even possible that no noise is being made? Questions the author. But the problem lies in the facade where the cobalt is processed, which is portrayed as a clean source. The downstream digging, where all the problems lie, is not clearly exhibited or brought up to the real world, and nobody has the time and energy to explore this. I read a counter view to the author's viewpoint, where such accounts are generally written from the first world point of view, and countries in the third world need help. But the counter viewpoint says that this kind of voice has to emerge from the nation itself. The people have to come and raise their voice, and a certain big brother approach is not right at all, is what the counter viewpoint argues. There is also the story of Livingston and Stanley, who tried exploring Africa, and it could be them who might have started this plundering of Africa unknowingly by exploring or exposing what this resource rich continent possessed at that point in time. Now, let's quickly move on to the key takeaways from this book. Number one, what the large companies say about their raw material procurement versus what actually happens on ground are two extremes of reality. Number two, while capitalism helps generate riches, it has an ugly backend in some industries like this, which goes unnoticed because of the facade that is put upfront. Number three, the issue with African countries struggling big time, in spite of having rich natural resources, has been ongoing from time immemorial. How do they get out of this rut remains an unsolved problem for the entire world. With that note, we come to the end of this week's book review and summary. Now, if you like this content, please like the video and share it with your friends. And also do subscribe to this video so that it reaches more people who would like such content. If you also want me to read any other book and review about it, please do write about the book in the comment section. I'll catch up with you with another interesting book in another time. Thank you.